The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me prefers Tom Selleck without the mustache. His name is Mike Roth.
Yes. I like his lips. And just to have something above that is so distracting to a man who is so beautiful. There we go.
Each week you surprise me.
Every week.
Each and every week you surprise me.
And anyways, I never got just the mustache thing.
Yeah?
I understand, you know.
I mean, that's literally called the Tom Selleck in my house.
Really?
Yeah, just the mustache.
It's still a reference?
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
It's a beautiful man.
I'm assuming all your kids are confused.
My kids know Tom Selleck from Friends because he was Monica's boyfriend for a couple years on Friends.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's how they know him.
Not a big Friends fan. I know.
I turn my back to you
I
now.
know, people don't like me. Just because of that.
So this week's show on the marquee, we just have one movie.
It's Solo.
It is a solo movie. Solo review this week. And it is, of course, the new Star Wars movie. This is the second Star Wars movie we've gotten in the last 6 months. They're starting to roll them out pretty hot and heavy. And it, of course, is Solo, a Star Wars story. This movie has gone through a lot of drama just to get to the big screen. Of course, the original directing team of Lord and Miller were fired. Ron Howard brought in. There was a lot of questioning whether Alden Ehrenreich, who is the young Han Solo, whether he could pull it off. And we finally got it on the big screen, and it is the story of a young Han Solo as we see him going through a chain of events that lead us to him getting the Millennium Falcon, meeting Chewbacca, hitting the Kessel Run, all the points that you need out of a Han Solo movie. And Alden Ehrenreich plays Han Solo. You also have Donald Glover as a young Lando Calrissian. You have Chewbacca in this movie. Emilia Clarke is a love interest. Kira is a love interest in this with Han Solo, and they have kind of an odd relationship. And really, the movie is this kind of like space western. It has a lot of different tones. Like, we find out that Han Solo was at one point an Imperial officer in almost like a World War I style trench warfare that was going on. We see how he acquires the Millennium Falcon. We also have Woody Harrelson as a guy named Beckett, who is leading this team that is trying to acquire all of this fuel to bring to the rebellion, to supply for weapons, to fight. And so a lot of this movie is this highly combustible resource that has to get somewhere real quick or it explodes.
And that's like one of those things people don't really think of when they're talking about Star Wars is the fuel source. Yeah. It's like everything has a lot of power going through it, but no one ever talks about how it happens.
Really, the first time we ever even addressed it was recently with The Last Jedi. Suddenly we're talking about, well, the ship's almost out of power. Like, did these ships run out of power?
Yeah. When did that happen?
When did that ever happen? You just go forever. You have really the onus of this movie is on the shoulders of Alden Ehrenreich because he's replacing an icon in Harrison Ford. I'm curious what you think about his performance in the movie as a whole.
Actually, I was doubtful, and after watching this movie, I thought he nailed it. He had a lot of the expressions that I expect from Harrison Ford, and he made it seem natural. I really appreciated that. When I looked at him doing his other stuff, and him in general, I couldn't see him as being the Han Solo that I was expecting.
He doesn't have a big body of work to really look back at.
No, but as far as attitude and how he said certain things and how he looked when he said certain things, I thought he was channeling what I expected from Harrison Ford. And I was really happy with his performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like 50-50 with him. There was a big chunk of the movie, especially early on, where I kept having to remind myself that he was Han Solo.
Okay.
Because I was struggling to latch on to him being Han. Part of it is the way his character was written. I kind of had issues with. Like, he is willing to help out. He falls in love really easily. He's kind of snarky instead of the cool rogue that Han Solo is.
Yeah.
Han Solo doesn't care what people think of him. This movie, he kind of does. He's quick to fall in love.
And
he's quick to help out. Like, this isn't the Han Solo I know, who is very standoffish.
And actually, I appreciated that, because every scene where I saw him be in love and really want to help people out, I'm looking at this movie as these are the circumstances that beat that out of him, that turned him into the person who did not care later on in life. And I think by the end of this movie, I felt like, yeah, this is really setting up where Han Solo is going to be the guy that we all know from New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, he grew on me as the movie went along. There was some physicalities to his performance that I really liked. There were certain things in the way he stood and the way he moved that would capture the essence of Han Solo to me. But there was a good chunk of the movie where I thought that he was the worst, stood out as the worst performance.
Okay.
I thought Donald Glover was Lando Calrissian. He sounded like Billy D. Williams. I thought he stood out to me.
And I have the opposite opinion. I think he did a good job at trying, but I don't think he did Lando the exact way that I wanted Lando.
See, I thought he was perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I thought Chewbacca was great.
It's not hard. Yeah, Chewbacca's Chewbacca.
But we don't have Peter Mayhew in there. We got a new guy, and
Yeah.
I liked the dynamic between them and how Han and Chewie got put together. And the new characters now in the new Star Wars movies, the last 4 we've gotten. It seems like they've really focused on giving a droid a very emotional part of the movie, whether it's BB-8 or K2 in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And this is no different. L3, which is Lando's droid, has some pretty big dynamics in this movie, like a big storyline and some emotional beats in this movie.
And that
I like that.
Same here. We'll talk about this later for a different list we'll be doing, but it gives a new depth to how we look at droids. I think this is a good direction. Star Wars, especially the Disney, bringing it back out, trying to make it its own thing. I feel like they're trying to make their characters a little bit more deep. And in this case, for many movies, we've had droids just the background funny things. We all know that they have personalities. We all know they have thoughts. They have different emotions, but they're treated like slaves.
Right.
And that's it. And this is the first time we've actually seen a droid that's like, I'm independent. Yeah, I'm programmed, but I have feelings, I have thoughts, and I'm going to be loyal to who I want to be loyal to. And I thought that was fantastic.
Right.
And if we could get more of this in Star Wars, I think they would bring a whole new depth to this type of franchise.
Yeah, I think some of these movies, they're writing the droids better than they are the humans.
Yeah.
They're really giving them something. I thought this movie did a really good job. I thought Ron Howard, in almost an impossible task, the way what he was given and what was expected of him and the pressure on him, I thought he did a really good job of capturing the feel of A New Hope. It was the first movie in a while that really brought that space, that sci-fi drama with some humor. It had that like Western feel. A lot of it really recaptured what I loved. It wasn't super serious. It was willing to have some fun. It had the drama. It had all of the beats that I love that what made me fall in love with Star Wars as a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought that was almost an impossible task because this was like the first Star Wars movie that I really was going in going, this might be terrible.
Yeah.
I usually try and really lower my expectations for these movies so I don't get disappointed. But this one, like, I didn't have to try and lower it. They were low.
Yeah.
And so it's a pleasant surprise for me.
The only complaint I really had about the movie is I love the Star Wars movies. I love the Star Wars franchise. I don't know everything about Star Wars. There's so much in canon. And there's a lot of stuff in canon that are now erased because of the purchase by Disney. So I was not aware of some things that were very important. I'm going to say this. It's not a spoiler, but they have cameos, and they have a certain cameo from a character that I know is dead. I've seen this character die. This guy is dead.
But you have to watch Rebels and Clone Wars.
But that's the thing. A lot of the people who are going to see the movies, who are a fan of the movies, they are not very familiar with the animated series or the books or the comic books. And I'm familiar with the comic books, but I'm not familiar with the animated series. I really didn't like the first season, so I didn't continue watching it. And therefore, a character that I know is dead shows up, and all of a sudden my whole timeline is skewed because I'm thinking, well, this character happens to have, it has to be before this movie, which means Han Solo is easy 25 years older than Luke. There is no way he's 25 years.
About 12 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and they should have explained that a little bit, or explained how this person, who is obviously dead, should be dead.
And I think we're tap dancing around it, but I think that person is going to play a big part in the recently announced Boba Fett movie.
Yeah,
that is going to be directed soon. I think that was kind of setting up where that's going. Outside of that, my one big disappointment with this movie was going into it. I need three things.
Yeah.
Like I said, I need Han getting Chewie, I need Han getting the ship from Lando, and I need the Kessel Run. And I need to see him do it in 12 parsecs. And I thought that the Kessel Run was disappointing to me. It didn't feel big enough to me. It didn't feel important enough to me. It felt like I'm going to take a shortcut, watch I turn left, there's a monster, woo, I turn right, Kessel Run's done. I'm like, I've spent 40 years wondering what the Kessel Run was. I have a T-shirt that says I did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. This has been a thing. And I thought that was kind of just, the ball was a little dropped on that one. It wasn't big enough.
I really didn't care about that as much as I cared about the relationship between Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. And I wanted to see this friendship bud into what ultimately becomes something very strong and then something extremely weak later on in the movies. I wanted a little bit of more of that. I wanted to see more heart between those two. And there was heart, but not enough.
Sure.
I guess it wasn't necessary. I was, in my head, I just dreamt something bigger.
Sure.
But besides that, yeah, Kessel Run was fine.
I thought it was a good cast of characters in there. Woody Harrelson was really good. Paul Bettany as Dryden Voss. I liked him. Fine. Yeah. I don't have any major complaints with this movie. I'm kind of curious what you end up giving this though.
I gave this a 4. It was hesitant. I was thinking about 4.5. I did have problems with them dropping in cameos of things that are really important to actually the movie you've seen. And really, I'm not the only one. I've asked other people, and a lot of people were like, yeah, this happened before this movie. It's like, no, apparently miracles happen, and this is what really happened. This is just 10 years before New Hope or whatever.
Yep, 10 years before New Hope.
And yeah, it's not only was I confused, but other people were confused.
I loved it.
I
was like this when the cameo came. Like,
oh
woo!
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't have to do research in order to figure out what the movie is saying. The movie should just tell me. I am. I don't like the animated series. The announcer. I hated the announcer.
Fair enough.
What did you give it?
I give it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I wish that Alden was a little better. There were parts of it that just I wanted more. Kessel Run, things like that. Also, the one thing for me was the first half of the film, it felt like everything was in the dark. Everything was taking place in a cave or in a dark room. And part of me was like, come on, somebody turn a light bulb on in this movie.
And that was the other thing that made me think of the timeline being different, is because everything had more of a retro feel.
Yeah.
It wasn't World War II style. This felt like World War I style.
Trench warfare.
And therefore, when I see stuff like that, I just assume, what did Han do to make himself look so young?
Yeah. Don't try and figure that out. But we both recommend it, and it's unfortunately, despite making $100 and some million opening weekend, it's being dogged as the one Star Wars movie that's going to underperform at the box office. And because I think there's a lot of things that went into it, the drama leading up to it, a lot of it, and maybe even some Star Wars fatigue because it's only been 6 months since
Could
the
be.
last one.
And it doesn't really help that reviewers were giving it a mediocre score and
Yeah.
already placing it on the scale of worst of all the franchise.
Go watch some prequels.
But it's not true. Don't believe that stuff. It's a good movie. Go see it.
So, since that was the only movie on the marquee we had this week, we thought we'd do a quick little fun list because there's rumors swirling about other standalone movies. Will this launch the Lando movie?
Yeah.
We had the announcement of the Boba Fett movie by James Mangold. And so we thought it would be fun to kind of quickly run down 5 characters out of the Star Wars universe that we want to see a spin-off movie have, get their standalone spin-off film.
And this was a great idea. This was a fantastic idea, Jameson. I was excited once you mentioned this.
Good. So I'm going to let you get it started here. We're going to do our top 5. What do you have as your number 5 film?
Number 5, Chewbacca. Why not? It would be all silent film, or it would be all subtitled.
Yeah.
And it's a rich history. They are from Kashyyyk, his tribe, the whole meaning of family and stuff like this, and also a planet war-torn by people who were trying to grab the Wookiees and use them as slaves. And I think I would like to know more about how Chewbacca ended up.
Will it be better than the Star Wars holiday special where we meet his family, Lumpy and all of them?
Maybe we could do a little cameo to to the Christmas special. What did they call that again?
The holiday special.
Well, what was their
Life Day.
Life Day? Yes.
Absolutely. Celebrate
Beautiful.
Life Day every year. So my number 5 character is a character that is beloved, and I want to see how he rose to the rank that he did. I want an Admiral Akbar movie. I want to see Admiral Akbar. How does this guy rise up and become the Admiral of the Rebellion? Look at that guy.
And
you want to see him as a young man?
yeah, that every single
Just
director
joining
who
the
gets
ranks?
that part, they'll say it's a trap.
It's a trap. I want to see it. I love Admiral Akbar. I was disappointed when, spoiler alert, he dies in The Last Jedi very unceremoniously.
Yeah.
It was like, he's dead. Nobody cares?
No one
Admiral
cares.
Akbar. Anyways.
Just go out and eat your calamari.
That's right. So that's my number 5. What's your number 4?
Number 4, Mace Windu. The history behind Mace Windu is he was following the dark path for a long time. That's the reason why his dark saber is purple. It's a mixture of the blue and the red. Red, typically Sith. I wanted to see how he went from being the bad guy to being the good guy and rising up to the ranks of being a leader of the council. I think that would be a fantastic movie.
I agree, and that's why he's also my number 4. Not Admiral Akbar. Number 4. There's the man in the booth. Anyways, my number 4 is also Mace Windu because for that very reason, reading the books that came out when the prequels were coming out, and just reading about it, I was mesmerized by he was so powerful because he would dive into the dark side and tap into that, and I was wanting to see that on the big screen and the battle against the Emperor and Anakin. Like, here we go.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it. Then he's just flung out the window, But yeah, I would love to see a Mace Windu film.
After seeing Solo, I believe he's not dead. I really don't.
Yeah, nobody's dead. Nobody's dead. You're number 3, sir.
Number 3, inspired from Solo, would be IG-88B. This is the notorious bounty hunter that was hunting down Solo. He also hunted down Leia at one point. With the droids getting personalities, getting thoughts, and thoughts of maybe what happened if a droid didn't follow orders. I think AG-88 would be the poster child for the robot who just did not do what he was told. Yes, he's an assassin droid. Yes, he assassinates people, but he works for himself, and I want to see...
That's such a great look, too.
I want to see that story. Yeah. And that look is actually used in the cantina. I guess they used his head in the first cantina.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love IG-88. In fact, I would love to see a movie about all of the bounty hunters that you see on Darth Vader's ship in Empire. That was my favorite moment of the movie.
Yeah.
You only get a quick look at Dengar and Zuckuss and Forlom, and my personal favorite, Boba Fett would be cool. We're getting a Boba Fett movie. I want a Bosk movie.
Bosk!
The Trandoshan madman. I would look at that guy. I mean, just the look of him is cool. I would love to see a movie with these bounty hunters and them going about and doing their things. And Bosk he's a ferocious guy. Ate his own family.
Yeah.
And then maybe at the end of the movie, maybe we get the call from the Empire saying, "We need you guys. We have someone we need you to locate." But like the interplay and the competition between he and Dengar and Boba Fett and just IG-88, I would love to get all of them in there.
That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I would like a cameo from the Slee Stacks. I know it's not the same
Distant
universe.
cousins.
Yeah,
Distant
distant cousins.
You're number
Very slow distant cousins.
You're number 2, sir.
Number 2, Leia. Obviously, she is a huge part of this movie, but we don't know much about her past. We know she's strong with the Force. We know that she has Jedi-like skills from one of the movies that we just seen. Why don't we see her rise in power? Why don't we see what she did in order to be the hero she is? I think she would make a great addition to the whole thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is an actual movie that they do make.
I mean, the big hubbub is that everyone wants Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, the girl who plays 11 in Stranger Things, to play young Leia, because if you put pictures of her and Carrie Fisher next to each other, it's striking how much they look alike.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. I would love to see that.
I don't know. I'm just saying. My number 2, I would love to see a movie about a man named Darth Maul.
There we go.
Because we got so little of Darth Maul. I mean, he was the head of the advertising campaign for Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he was cool.
And
looking.
we got one really rad scene with him. Great. I think the best battle of all the series. My favorite lightsaber battle, and then he gets the shaft. Literally, and
he gets cut in half and then falls in a bottomless pit.
Yeah, he has an amazing story, and everything that goes about him, and I want to see a Darth Maul movie.
I think I have to see a Darth Maul movie.
I think you do. You're number 2, sir.
Number 2 is my number 1.
No. Yes, you're number 1.
My number 1 is Darth Bane. He is not in any of the movies, but he explains the rule of 2. This is back in the Knights of the Old Republic, where there used to be tons of Siths. It was just like the Jedi Council. Jedi's all over the place. It was just like that with Sith. And Bane comes across a little bit of information and goes, nope, that's not the rules. And he fixes it.
Yeah.
And that
He's
would be
responsible for everything we know about the Sith now.
Exactly. And being such an important character, even though he's never been in the movies, I think it's about time we got a Knights of the Old Republic movie. I really do.
Darth Bane, Darth Raven. I mean, there's some really cool Sith characters.
There are.
That are in the books and such that I would love to see on the big screen.
And it also explains the universe a little bit more when we dive that far back.
It can't all just be the Emperor.
No.
I'm tired of seeing the Emperor.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah.
He died in a stupid way.
Speaking of getting the shaft.
Stop electrocuting yourself.
My number 1 is one that has been rumored about, and we may actually get, but I want the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. I want,
that's good.
From after we last saw Obi-Wan Kenobi to the time when we see old Ben living out there, he took the baby Luke and went into hiding on Tatooine. I want to see the events. What is he doing out there? He's not just out there just hanging out with sand people, watching a baby grow up. That's weird. There's got to be something cool going on. I know there's some very cool things. And it's funny because Ewan McGregor, it feels like he's trolling Star Wars fans because he'll show up at an awards ceremony and he'll have the Obi-Wan beard growing out. Everyone's like, he's making the movie! It feels like he's having fun with fans.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be made. And I would love to see it.
And that is also a great idea. I think Disney should hire us.
Absolutely.
We don't come up with the stories. We just give them the ideas.
Yeah, we're ideas guys.
We're ideas.
We are. Okay, let's take a look back, sir, for our movie throwback. You picked a movie that surprisingly is great. It's a great movie about a scoundrel out there, a space opera, if there ever was one.
And it came from the great year of
1984, cinema's finest year. What are we talking about this week?
We're talking about Ice Pirates. This is one of those movies that you really don't hear people talking about too much, but obviously it was made from the tales of the popularity of the Star Wars films.
Oh, God, yeah.
So many references.
I mean, they literally stole the hyperspace graphic for them. Like, we're going to go on a time warp, and it's the hyperspeed graphic. Like, yeah, okay.
They do everything quite like Star Wars in here, but make things a little bit more obvious. A princess can't be a princess without a crown. The basis of the story is the water is a valuable resource, and people are doing whatever they can to get some water. The Ice Pirates, they're off trying to survive, and they're dealing with the what was it, Supreme Commander?
Yeah.
and it's actually a lot of funny stuff happens in it.
Yeah.
And parts of it are really smart. Most of it is extremely dumb. But overall, very enjoyable movie. We have a young
Angelica Houston.
Angelica Houston.
She is awesome in this movie.
She is a badass.
Yeah,
She's,
yeah.
And we have a very young Ron Perlman,
His
too.
first movie.
Was it?
Yes.
He was fantastic.
Yes.
I could not picture him as the Ron Perlman now. He seemed so much more friendly and outgoing.
He was a kid. This was 35 years ago. He was just a kid.
He was a kid. It was so cute.
Robert Urich,
looking at all these people.
who was a massive star at the time.
Yeah.
He was on Vegas. He couldn't walk down the street.
But now you rarely.
Everyone says Robert Urich.
Who? What? Tom Selleck? What?
Yeah.
But tell me what you think. It's been a while since I've seen this movie.
And it's funny because this is one of those movies that, for whatever reason, in my head, I get confused with Time Bandits all the time. Which one's which?
Yep.
Wait, which one has who in it? Which one has the weird monsters and everything? I really love it. It's campy and it's dated, but it's fun.
It is.
They know what they're doing here. There's fighting robots, there's sword fights, there's time warps. It's got everything for you.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a blast. I really enjoy it.
If you need a quick fix for Star Wars, but don't really want Star Wars, you're in a weird mood. Yeah, go ahead, pick up
you
Ice
don't feel
Pirates.
like thinking or anything like that. This is perfect for you.
Yeah.
Yes, Ice Pirates, very good. I love this. I had a lot of fun rewatching this.
Yeah, I watched it twice. The first time I wasn't paying much attention. I'm like, you know what? I got to rewatch this thing already. So
good man. Let's take a look ahead, sir, at what is going to be coming out for us. The weekend of June 8th, we have a few movies that will be coming out. The first one is the new film from A24 Studios. It is Hereditary. This movie kind of creeps me out.
Yeah.
The little girl in this movie creeps me out.
I have high hopes for it, but most of the A24 movies that did horror, I've been underwhelmed.
Right. Yeah, I agree. We also have Hotel Artemis. This kind of looks like the Continental in the John Wick movies.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is like a prequel to John Wick.
How we got there. We also have Ocean's 8. This is the sequel to the Ocean's movies.
And I'm stoked for that, too. Yeah.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock plays George Clooney's sister, I believe.
Yep, and it's shot remarkably well. I think there should be a lot of exciting things happening in this.
I'm hopeful. Has a fun cast.
Yeah.
And the last movie coming out will be in a limited release, but it is the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary. Finally comes into theaters on June 8th.
I'm looking forward to that, too.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that. And someone has already seen it.
I have, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopeful. So those are the films that are coming out June 8th. Before we leave you, of course, we have to thank our sponsor, The Palace. Marcus Cinemas, thank you for sponsoring our show. We do love The Palace. Boy, I tell you what, on these hot summer days, I love getting a nice cold soda and sitting in an air-conditioned seat. Or if you decide to go with my 12-year-old son, he hits the seat heater and starts cooking you. That's the opposite of what I want on a hot summer day, is to have someone turn the seat heater on me.
When I was a kid, going to the movie theater was the main way to escape
I
from
remember
the heat.
that. I remember doing that, absolutely.
Yep.
Like, it's hot, we don't have AC, let's go see a movie.
But now you should
I don't care if I'm watching Surf Ninjas, I'm going to see a movie.
Ooh, that was terrible. We should throw back to that.
Yeah, someday. Someday, if it ever just lines up just right, we get a Surf Ninja style movie. But yeah, thank you, Marcus, for sponsoring us. If you want to find more from us, you can find us online anytime. If you are on Facebook, you can find us Real Reviews TV. If you're on Twitter, you can search for us there at Real Reviews TV. You can find us on the YouTube, and you can also find us online on demand with all of our previous episodes by going to sunprairiemediacenter.com. You can click on the on-demand player, watch a whole bunch of different episodes. Next week, we're going to have Adrift.
Yeah.
We have Action Point.
Yeah.
We have a movie called Upgrade. Don't know anything about it.
Actually, I know a little bit about that.
Ooh, look out.
Yeah.
And we also have American Animals I'll be talking about.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, going to the theater is also a great way to escape mosquitoes. Didn't find a single one in the theater this week.
That's a good tip from a pro right there.
Find them everywhere else right now, but not in the theater.
Tip from a real pro. All right, sir, let's get out of here. We'll be talking about those movies next week. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.